Good evening and welcome to Thinking Re-envisioned. You're just seconds away from the unbeatable Henry G. Noel. Believe me when I say your ego has met its match. Here's Henry.
Hey, good evening, everybody, and welcome to Transitional Radio, where you can mortal up with Brian Brody on All Natural Being, Sunday through Thursday, 8 until 8:30 p.m., unless he runs over. You can catch IPM Nation Sneak Speaks on Sundays from 7 to 7:30. It looks like we're going to be getting Lee Raleigh on Thursday evenings now from 9 to whenever. And, and this show, our 23rd episode of Thinking Re-envisioned. My name is Henry Noel, and I am your host. Thinking Re-envisioned, where we are here to make you think, make you question, get you to start questioning everything. I want to thank you for joining me this Wednesday evening for Thinking Re-envisioned, where tonight we will begin a series of discussions about, well, who we are. What I mean by that is, are we, as the conventional wisdom dictates, physical beings, or as quantum physics suggests, spiritual or energetic beings? Or are we a combination of both? Now, I'm hoping this will lead into a very lively discussion over the next few weeks, few evenings, and I'm hoping that we really can pull off some really good heavy duty discussions. Now we're broadcasting live from our Uplink studio in beautiful Cuenca, not Columbus, but beautiful Cuenca, 2 degrees south of the equator. We are broadcasting live on IPMNation.com and Thinking Re-envisioned's Facebook and YouTube pages. And again, I want to wish to thank all of our listeners from all over the globe, listening on live radio, those listening to our rebroadcasts, and you, our fly on the wall video listeners, for taking the time to tune in and listen. I'd also like to thank our good friends at Wirecast for making it possible for us to be broadcasting both live and, live, that's me, live and globally. And a big thank you to my brother Wayne for putting up with what Brian and I are doing. So thank you, bro. To all of our listeners who wish to participate in this show, email me at henry@henrygnoel.com. It is my wish to present a show where, everyone can simply be as active as they really want to be. Feel like they have a forum where they can kind of vent their opinions. We trust that you have had an enjoyable Wednesday thus far, and I'm hoping that will continue. So let's get into the thread. Let's say hi and see how everyone will address this evening's topic. Should be interesting. So anyway, we'll get back into the thread here and see what's going on. Rita, hi, how are you? I'm glad you're on. Thank you. Marcia, always thank you. And Haidu, I hope that you are there and having fun and listening in, not working too hard. Joseph, thank you so much. Greetings and salutations right back at you. Ready, Mr. Henry? Yeah, we'll give it a shot, Marcia. We'll give it a shot. Mary, thank you so much for joining us. Alice, you too. I appreciate it. Hello, Mary. And John, again, thank you so much, John. Hey, everybody. Welcome, and I'm glad that you're here. And, of course, my brother, because, he's here because I wouldn't be here if he wasn't. Lee Raleigh, good luck tomorrow. Yo, go for it, Lee. I'm excited for you. I want to see this pull off. It'll be really cool. I'm going to be watching. So let's see what happens. So again, here goes my brother. He's wigging out on us. So what I wanted to do was, talk a little bit about what it is for us to be, who we are, and who are we really? And so I wanted to go ahead and talk about that. As John says, how do we clean house, start over based on our rules of whatever, on cooperation, compassion, cooperation, compassion, community, rather than control, power, and greed. That is an issue. I mean, it really is, where we don't really understand what is going on, and they Uh, it's just interesting. I wish it made more sense. And how do we switch over? I think we start change ourselves, and I think that's a large part of it. The status quo just doesn't quite work, and I think that that's really where it is. And if we're going to see, if we really want to see change, then we simply have to make the changes. We have to we have to do the changing ourselves. In my opinion, John, I think that to expect um, people to clean house, that's just not going to happen. They People just don't. They're not that interested. And I think that that's really where the part of the problem is they just don't seem to have any issues. You're very welcome, Lee. You're very welcome. Break a leg tomorrow, man. I think it's great. Well, don't do that really, but I mean the good luck thing on this whole thing. So, and I think that that's really what we have to see. But I was kind of curious as to what everybody thinks about one of the concepts that we deal with. And one of the things that I've been writing about, and I'm sorry, but I don't understand what it is about my nose, but I am constantly dripping. So hopefully it's not a sinus thing. We'll see what happens. But I there's an area in our life that I believe that where we really well, I guess it's that period from the time that we are conceived until the time we're born, to the time that we are born. And I call that our infantile self. And my brother's eating a banana. I just love this. This is great. So I call that our infantile self. And it is from the time of our conception to the time of our birth. Now, I also understand that there's a lot of people out there who believe that I wonder if that's an Ecuadorian on a banana there, bro. There's a lot of people out there that believe that, at conception, that we're not alive. That's not what life is considered. And that's a debate in itself, and I'm willing to get into that conversation. But and they use that as the definition so that they can justify abortions and that sort of stuff. But my contention is, dead cells don't divide, and they don't grow, and they don't divide. They don't produce systems. They don't produce organs. Dead cells are dead. So if you have a fertilized egg and the cells start dividing, then that means they're alive. And I don't see how that works, to be honest with you. It's a bit disconcerting for me to really understand how we can go through and determine that. And I think the other part of it is literally our arrogance. I mean, we as humans, we cannot create life from nothing. I mean, we can't just kind of snap our fingers and boom, there's life, and it starts to grow. So where do we get off defining what is life and what isn't life? I mean, it's very, very arrogant, I think. And so I think that if living cells are growing, then that's life, and that's what we should be dealing with. And so, the physics pushes us to believe and to understand that we are physical beings, that we don't have that has nothing to do with energy, simply physics, the physical, and that we live within this physical world and practical physics. So I just question a lot of this stuff as to whether or not that's really true. So we have, let's see, Candace is on. Thank you so much, Candace, for being here. Peace, 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 peace. Alice, thank you so much for joining us. And I appreciate you guys tuning in. I really do. Thank you so much. And to get back to it, I look at it as the practical physics says that we're composed. We simply compose. That matter, matter is simply, it just doesn't, it balances, that we have kinetic and potential energies, and those energies balance within a confined structure, like the human body. And so we follow physics. We follow the laws of physics as it has been presented. And then here comes quantum physics that says, wait a minute, practical physics is based on time and space. The laws of potential and kinetic say that they are that within a system, they're neither created nor destroyed, that they're simply transformed from one into another. And then comes quantum physics that says, wait a minute, there really is no time. There's no such thing as time. So quantum physics takes the time element out, and without the time element, practical physics falls apart. So if you were to put this into the concept of quantum physics into the body, as far as us is concerned, that would fall into the energy side. That would be into the spirit side. And so are we spirit? Are we energy? Are we a physical body? You can argue a lot of it because of the fact that, well, in space, in time, in the universe, everything that you see as solid, such as our skin and bones, are actually made up of atoms. And there is far more space in atoms than there are solid material. So again, is this physical, or is it really empty space with some particles in it that because of the density of it, we actually have it appears solid. So those are the kind of things I just would love to sit down and get your point of view, and I'll stand up and get your point of view as to what you think, and is it something that we could really delve into and really shake the trees a little bit and really make some changes in the way that we think, or is it something we just leave it alone and come back and we'll talk about something different? But some of the stuff that I deal with, because being an acupuncturist and being a healer, we deal with energy. We deal with a lot of energy, and in understanding on the quantum side of it, explains a lot of what we're able to do being energy workers. And part of that is simply being able to heal across distances, being able to send energy out to help repair or help a person get through what it is that they're going through, and being able to do that across many, many miles. And the other side of it was the example I used, I believe, the other day, where you walk into a room and someone across the room you have this instant dislike for, or instant like, and you've never even met them before. That's energy. That's that communication system that we do have, and we use it. We just don't realize it. We've never been taught about it, or talked about it very little, but it is what really affects us, and part of this energy side of us is, some of the comments that get made, or some of the quotes that get made, like trust your gut. Um, trust what your heart says. These are energetic things, not simply physical. And so that's really where I'm trying to lean these things. I mean, when you look at the physical side of us, 99.85% of our body is composed of 11 elements, really 11 elements: oxygen, carbon, hydrogen, nitrogen, calcium, and phosphorus, and then potassium, sulfur, sodium, chlorine, and magnesium. And then, then there's 0.15% of other trace elements that actually add up to 10 grams of our body mass. Not a whole lot. There's an awful lot of what goes into us physically, and we don't even ever talk about really the energetic part of it. Candace says, takes two. Never the baby's fault, for God's sake. Get the morning after pill before forms. And Candace, thank you. I know your position on abortion. I do know it. I totally agree with you. I am of the mindset, like I said, that life begins at conception. Now, whether it is a spiritual spark, a God spark, a thing that creates the conception, or whether the conception creates the spark, I have not really concluded, and I don't really think it matters. I just think the fact is that once cells start to divide, dead cells can't do that. So that has to be live, and therefore that has to be life. And so I disagree with being able to get a 9-month term and be able to abort that. That falls under the murder category to me. And I'm not a Republican. I'm not a conservative in that manner, and I'm not a religious guy at all. And so this is just what I understand and how I feel about it. So it's very interesting to see how life is being defined by those that can't create it. It's just very, very interesting to me that that's really what it boils down to. You know, of course, the courts support it and they back it all up. But I think it's yes, it's a volatile subject, and it is something that I believe it needs to be discussed. I think it needs to be talked about and understood where we all come from on this, because it really is a hard thing to try to understand. Um, we look at the energies that are around us, and we don't understand them. We don't see how that they work. With working with qigong and the Chinese Eastern philosophies, being able to feel the energy is just an amazing thing. And I remember the first time when Rita and I were working in our clinic back in New Mexico, and it was where Rita had said, I don't understand what it is you feel. I don't feel that. And I kind of feel bad that I don't feel it because I'd like to. And so I kind of created it, brought in some of the energy and had her feel it for the first time. She goes, "Oh, I feel that all the time." Exactly. It's just no one ever defined it before. And so we can do that. We can feel the energies. We have an energy field. That energy field communicates between all of us, even through distance. And that's what's so cool about it. I mean, you wake up and you just say, "Wow, I got to call so and so." Something I don't know. I have to call them, and then you call them and find out, yes, there was an accident or something happened, and you can't figure out and explain why. Well, that's why. It's because this energy field of ours, it communicates all over the world. It just simply sends out energies, and that's what we have to. That's what we deal with. That's how we live. I mean, you have a physical body, but without the energy, the physical body doesn't exist. It simply will not function. It has to have the energy to run. And that is where I delineate from everyone. I believe that that's what it is. I mean, the energy leaves you when the body dies, when the body goes away when the energy leaves it. And I watched that with my mom, and and that is what it's all about. When the spirit, that energy leaves us, the body goes away. The body just dies. So that it is hard. It really is. Candace, yep, I agree with you. That's tragic. 9-month abortions. I know I can't grasp it either. It's just unbelievable. I mean, and when you think about it, that you abort that. That could have been our future president. That could have been our future doctors. Those are our future leaders. It just I mean, if somebody would have done that at when I was there, I wouldn't be here. I mean, that's what it's all about. What is it we're losing by doing all that? Anyway, Mary says, I studied quantum physics in college, and I remember that it was mostly a study of probability of theories and can't be tested here in the physical. Exactly. And that's what I agree with you totally, Mary, because that's what's wrong with the problem is everything has to be tested. We have to prove it. Well, how do you prove something as abstract as quantum physics? I mean, quantum physics simply does not, it removes the element of time, which is a human construct, of course, but it removes that element. And without that element, we can't function in this physical world. So it is really very interesting that our bodies, we just take it for granted. But in quantum physics is saying, wait a minute, no, you actually can. You can leave your body and you can be in different places multiple places at the same time. Absolutely true. Yes, we can. And that is something that we can't measure. You can't test. You can't prove it. But because we have been so brainwashed into it has to be scientifically proven, scientific method. Well, the only thing scientific method does is it pushes people to cheat. I have this theory, and therefore I am going to test this theory to see that if it works. And all of the data that comes in, if it shows that the data is against my hypothesis, then I will tell you that my hypothesis is wrong. Well, I'll tell you what, I don't know a single scientist that does that. They take all that data that proves that their hypothesis is wrong and they throw that out, and they still go on and they present all it was. climate change, global warming, you name it. And scientists have fudged the numbers on it all because they just eliminate the part that doesn't go along with their hypothesis. So you're right. We have no ability to test the theories. But if we tested the theories anyway, we'd throw half the data out as it is. So it's totally biased, and that's really what's so frustrating. John says we've been duped into servitude. The taxes, bills, the American dream. Yep, the American dream. Try waking up. Social influence, empty desires. Absolutely, ego pushing, because it wants. And you get to live under stress and more stress and more stress because you're trying to satiate it's an endless ego's appetite. And that's really where we're at. But we're encouraged to do that based on what's thrown at us in either advertising or from corporations that's selling their products that count on this problem resolution solution for us to fall victim to all of that. Mary says how now some of Einstein's theories were tested, has been explored out of space, and some of the theories were shown to fit real data. I'm not sure we can really do that with our soul and spirit, because how can you test to see if it is true theory or not? Well, there has been some testing going on with that, with people that do journey and do leave. Their spirit does their energy, part of their energy, and they allocate how much they want to do. They take 20% and let's send it out there and see. But they have taken that, and they have done tests where they've shown that where something in another room that's completely walled in, and they were able to pass through that wall and be able to tell exactly what was going on in that room. And so some of this is being proven, and they're using now quantum physics to try to explain why this does it. So there have been experiments. You don't hear about them, but there have been experiments that are defining and starting to show that yes, you actually can leave the body and travel in other places, to other places, and it's very interesting. Ken says, I believe when your vessel dies, the soul leaves. Yes, absolutely, Candace. I know that. I mean, I experienced that with my mom. I mean, that was no question about it. I totally agree. John says science is hidden when it doesn't fit the narratives exactly, and the lining in the pocket of the same slave master. It's very. Hi, Sue. Well, hi. Your icon just popped up. Welcome. It's great to see you. Thank you so much. Wow. Hope Chicago's doing well. It'd be great to see you come on. Thank you. It really is. We have a system that we use as a check and balance, scientific method, and it has been abused. Let's just use that word for it rather than Susan. I don't want to say anything bad. So we're going to go ahead and follow the line that way. But, we destroy any semblance of check and balances. We just don't have them anymore because it's now about proving the hypothesis. It's not about giving the correct data. It's simply proving your point. And I said climate change is one where the statistics and the data has been manipulated and used. Both sides have done it to try to prove their point. Global warming, same thing. And human involvement in it. All of this data has been manipulated and twisted because they just simply take the data they want, and that's what they present. Candace says, is it called something like astral projection? Yes, it is. In a way, it is. That's exactly, you're right, Candace. It's like astral projection. People that have near-death, I'm falling into the same group here. I call it a death experience. It's not a near-death experience. You died, and therefore you got to travel, and it is an astral projection. Your body, your energy, your soul, your spirit, I don't care, whatever you call it, leaves the body and can describe everything that goes on in the room, the conversations that were being had. I mean, everything. And then go into different rooms of what's happening elsewhere in say, the hospital, if that's where you happen to be. But people that journey, shaman, that journey, that actually journey They do. They're part of their energy. I mean, we're told to leave a certain part behind, but we will take the major portion of it and send that out and journey. And we do that to do retrievals and investigate multiple lifetime issues for people. 5 more minutes. Okay, thank you, bro. I appreciate that. 4 more minutes. Well, I lost a minute really fast. I can understand. I understand. 3, 2, 1. He goes. I gotta love this. So yes, yeah, astral projection would be a perfect term for it. Okay, 4 minutes. Mary says, John, I definitely agree with you. I used to work at really cool. That's really great. Uh, 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 Coining cancer research, and I saw that what got funded is based on what is politically trendy, and what gets published is what agrees with the establishment. And absolutely right, Mary, absolutely right. And that is what's so frustrating with it. And because we call these people our experts. And I think one of the comments and things we did in the previous several shows ago was people lie. They do. They lie because that's what they need. They need the funding. So they're going to say whatever they have to get the funding. Mary says, doing cancer research. See, that is fabulous. 3 minutes. Candace says, I have way too much spiritual things happening since I was a kid. I know and believe. Thank you, Candace. And as I do too. I lost. Yeah, quantum physics. I lost a minute. Quite a bit. I lose a lot of minutes here with my brother. It says, all of a sudden it goes through. Mary says that demons have the power to take you out of your body. So does God. You need to be careful who is doing the power. I don't believe it is yourself. That this is entering into spiritual realm. And I'll tell you what. And honestly, Mary, take the word demon and look back. Go through and look back the history of the term of the word demon. Demon is from the Latin, or from the Greek actually, daemon, which is a spiritual guide. That's what a demon is a spiritual guide, not an evil thing. It's the Catholic Church that made demons, and they took the word and they changed it. So yeah, research the word demons. Demons were simply spiritual guides versus the church establishment's religious thing, where now, instead of having a spiritual guide that helps you, now you got to go to some priest or imam or a rabbi, and that's who supposedly helps you. No, the daemon, that is the way to go, because that is what really does help you and guide you. And look up the word. I'm not kidding. That's really true. John says, so sad the EPA protects the industry, not the environment. Big Pharma helps the bankers, and the insurance is fraud. Yep, absolutely right, John. 1 more minute. Candace says, my cousin had to fight with research to get her young son immune therapy. There you go. This is what we do, and this is what's happening. We as entities are being left behind. So I guess I better be saying goodbye, because I'm going to get worse than the eyes here pretty quick. So listen, we'll carry this over tomorrow too, and we'll go ahead and continue this. I think it's a real important subject to continue with, and we'll just go ahead and continue this tomorrow. So anyway, with that, guys, thank you so much for participating. Thank you for getting involved in it, and do some research, and then pop in some great questions tomorrow. That'll be terrific. So anyway, thank you, guys. Have a great evening. Hasta mañana.